Hey, well, good morning, everyone. We're grateful to be with you this morning for Yoga Church Digital. We'll give a minute here to let everybody get joined in with us. I'm here with Karen Hughes, and we're grateful to be with you all this morning. And we'll start with, if you feel comfortable, just posting where you are, who you are, and how you're doing this morning. As we get started, we'd love to know that. And please share this with a friend, start a watch party, share the YouTube link, help us get the word out there. And the whole purpose here is just to provide some space to breathe, to tune into a spiritual practice. They can help us all in a time of great anxiety, and to provide some spiritual connection in your life there in the safety of your own home. So I'm going to share a quick devotional from the Christian scriptures, and we acknowledge and realize that everybody who joins in with us is not Christian, and that's okay. And there's my grandson, Jackson, who's going to help this morning with I see that. It's okay. Help with Yoga Church this morning. So we realize that everybody is not Christian, so this is open for anybody. If you're spiritual but not religious, come and join in with this practice. We're going to kind of share from the Christian perspective of things. And I want to just quickly share when Jesus gathered on the mountain, he gave this sermon. And this is in the Gospel of Matthew in the 5th, 6th, 7th chapters, and it's in the Christian New Testament. Hey, good morning, Jeff. Good to see you, friend, from Bradenton, Florida. Pulling weeds today. Cool. Awesome. Amen. And so Jesus gathers on a mountainside, and he preaches the greatest sermon ever preached. And he begins with these Beatitudes. And so Beatitudes are little statements of blessedness. So there's the structure of Beatitude is usually blessed or happy is a person who exhibits a certain kind of behavior or posture. And then for they will receive this. And then there's some kind of future-oriented gift associated with that. So Jesus starts these Beatitudes like, blessed are the poor in spirit, for they will inherit the kingdom. Luke says, blessed are the poor, for they'll be filled. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they will get this benefit. And the one that I want to focus on today is, blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. And the Greek word there is pentheo, mourn, which means to grieve. Blessed are those who grieve, for they shall be comforted. Now, we might say these Beatitudes sound really weird. Like they sound almost upside down, right? Why would anybody be blessed who was poor in spirit or poor? Why would anybody be blessed who was mourning? Like we would say, blessed people are blessed are the rich. Blessed are the healthy, wealthy, and wise. Blessed are those who have it all together. Blessed are those who make a lot of money. Whatever, we could go on and on. And so Jesus' values seem like they're almost this upside down truth, right? What do you mean, blessed are who mourn? Who wants to mourn? Like, who wants to grieve? But I believe what Jesus is teaching us there is very important. It's an important lesson for all human beings. That grief is actually a gift, and it gives us a way to heal. And one of the things that I'm really, really concerned about, and globally and in the United States in particular, and especially in the church, is it seems like there's this tremendous rush to get back to normal or to get back to usual, whatever that looks like. But we have been through a collective trauma of global and historic proportions. And a lot of people are suffering, experiencing loss and pain, And grief is the gift that God gives us so that we can work through that, so that we can acknowledge that, that we can speak that out. And what Jesus is borrowing from in this statement, it reaches back to a much longer Jewish tradition. And it's the tradition of the lament. It's the tradition of mourning. In the Old Testament, there's a whole book called Lamentations. There's all these psalms of lament that are like poems that say, God, where are you in the middle of this? God, I'm hurting. God, send help. God, why did you allow this to happen? And those are just the honest heart cry of people that are grieving. And God welcomes that. He welcomes that grief. He welcomes us to articulate that. And God is a big God. God can take all of our grief. And the beautiful thing that we learn about Jesus of Nazareth is that he is the God who's with us in our grief. Not above us or beyond us or out of reach of us, but he's the God who's with us. We've just started a sermon series in the Living Room Church called The Gospel According to C.S. Lewis. And we're going through some of C.S. Lewis's great work. Some of you may know C.S. Lewis, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Space Trilogy. He's written over 30 books in 30 different languages, one of the most prolific authors. But he also did a lot of books on theology and our Christian apologetics. And one of the books that he wrote is a book called A Grief Observed. And I just encourage you to read that book. It's a book as he lost his wife and went through that grieving process. It was his articulation of what that history of that grief was like. And grief is not an event where we go, okay, that was great. Now I move on with my life. It's this ongoing and unfolding kind of history. And there's highs and lows that we go through. And so I just encourage you, if you've had some loss, if it's, the loss of loved ones, the loss of a job, the loss of the world as we used to know it, the loss of church friends who no longer go to church, whatever that is, take that time to grieve, to acknowledge that loss, and to let God heal whatever those places are. And this morning, Karen usually invites us to have an intention if we want to in our practice, something that we're kind of focused on and thinking about as she's taking us through the postures. And today, that's what I'm going to be thinking about is giving myself space to grieve and to heal. And this practice of yoga is one of the most healing things that we can do with our mind and our body and our soul. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen at this time. Thank you so much. Can we give it up for Karen? Show some social media love.
Thank you. Well, welcome to Yoga on Friday morning. Let us begin with the heart of yoga, which is breath. Close your eyes, sitting in a really comfortable position, and just begin to clear your mind as you become aware of your breath. And breathe deep, long inhales and exhales in through the nose and out through the nose as we clear our mind, but clearing our mind of things that take up too much space, things that clutter our mind, so that we can have more space to hear the Spirit speak to us. For me, it's the Holy Spirit, but to hear your heart and your soul speak to you. And today, maybe after this devotion, grief is what's on your mind, and that would be your intention. Or maybe it's something else that's going on in your life. A lot of times, for me, it's one of the fruits of the Spirit. So for me today, it might be patience. But let us just close our eyes and see where our mind and our heart takes us as we breathe that yoga breath, inhaling and exhaling. With your eyes closed, you can transition into a purifying breath maybe to help you relax and clear your mind. Inhaling as long and deep as you can in through the nose, feeling the air go down your spine all the way into your belly. And then through the mouth, an even longer breath, exhaling all of the old air out of your body. Maybe exhaling any clutter, any negativity, any expectations. Let us breathe. One more purifying breath. Inhaling deep, deep, deep and long. And exhaling through the mouth. And let us open our eyes. Take your arms out long with your palms up. Inhale to float the hands up and exhale, hands over, heart center, and namaste. Inhale to float the hands up. Exhale, reach your arms out long, floating your fingertips softly to the earth. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hands over, heart center. Let's do a few more of these, just stretching, reaching, long arms, floating the fingertips down. Inhaling and exhaling, letting your breath guide your movement today. So know that this is your practice and only do what feels good for your body. So we're all built differently, so we all move differently. So just move in ways that feel good for you and for your body, and try to let your breath guide your movement. One more big, big, big stretch out, floating your fingertips down as we go into side stretches up and over. Taking your time, feeling the palm come up as high as you can and then over. So we lift up for strength and over for flexibility. Inhale. On the exhale, float your hands down by your sides. Grow tall through the crown of the head, but relax your shoulders down away from your ears as we do a little bit of a neck stretch, letting the chin come down to the chest. Spine is long, head is heavy, back of the neck. You can feel the stretch here and breathe. And then with your chin on your chest, let's let the spine round by letting the rib cage cave in and the shoulders round forward. Keep your gaze on your belly if your eyes are open, or close your eyes and let your head get heavier and heavier. And then on the next breath, slowly let your chin come up to your left shoulder. When you get there, sit as tall as you can as we go into a couple of half neck circles in slow motion, inhaling to drop the chin, rounding the spine. Exhale, come up to the right shoulder and grow tall. Let's do one more. Inhale and exhale. And now to the right. Inhale and exhale. Bring your gaze back to the center. Go on and bend your knees, folded legs, I like, but maybe that's not comfortable for you, so you can just bring your feet out in front with a little bend in your knees or a lot of bend. Be comfortable. The bent knees help to protect the spine as we go into some upper body circles, rounding the back as you go to the back, lifting your heart as you come forward. Inhaling and exhaling with each upper body circle, just warming up the spine with some spine mobility. Inhale and exhale, switching the direction of our circles. And coming back to tall spine as we go into a seated cat and cow, hinge forward, pressing your chest through, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, and inhaling, filling the lungs up with air. And on the exhale, nod your chin and round back like an angry cat. Inhale into seated cow. And exhale into cat. Inhaling and exhaling. And one more set. Inhale and exhale. And come up to tall spine. Let's go ahead and straighten our legs into staff pose. So in staff pose, you want to sit as tall as you can, grounding your legs by pointing your toes up to the ceiling. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you can float your fingers up, reaching for the ceiling and feeling the energy just flow through your fingertips. And then we can take another step forward or deeper by hinging forward 2 or 3 inches, maybe staying there, or maybe going even deeper with a forward fold. The nose floats towards the knees as you reach for your toes. You can bend your knees if you need to or not. Let us breathe. 3 breaths wherever you are. On the next breath, let's slowly roll the spine up, articulating the spine, stacking one vertebra on top of the other at a time as we pull that left knee in. We're going to go into half staff pose today, so maybe just drop your knee there. Maybe you just stay here. Maybe you float your fingers up, and maybe you hinge 2 or 3 inches and stay there, or forward fold to go a little bit deeper, letting the nose once again fall towards that right knee, and breathe 3 breaths here. On the next breath, slowly roll the spine up, articulating it once again. And this time we're just going to lift up that left knee, cross the left foot over the right leg or not. We're going to go into some spinal rotation, taking that right arm around that bent left knee to get even taller. As you take your left hand around to the back of the mat, lift your heart, lift your gaze, and breathe. On the next breath, come back around to the center. As we drop that left knee, we're going to pull our left heel towards our right hip. This is called half cow face. Stacking the knees, once again sitting tall. Maybe you want to go a little bit deeper. You can go on and take that right heel back as well, so that both knees are stacked, sit nice and tall. And we can even go deeper if you want, taking your fingers and spider walking them slowly away from your body. And then nodding your chin, dropping your chin to your chest, letting your nose or your chin fall towards your knees, relaxing your arms, and just letting go. And breathe. On the next breath, slowly roll the spine back up, nice and tall. Take your hands behind your back. Lean back and straighten your legs, keeping the left leg over the right for a crossed leg staff pose with a twist. Go on and float your arms out in front of your shoulders, cross your arms, flip your hands, drop your hands, look at your belly, and slowly slide your hands towards your feet or your ankles, whatever feels good for you, and breathe. On the next breath, go on and roll the spine back up. Once again, articulating it, letting the chin be the last thing to come up. Uncrossing your legs. And now we'll do half staff pose on the other side, pulling that right foot in, letting the right leg just drop to the side. Maybe you stay here, grounding your left leg by pointing your toes up. Maybe you float your fingertips up and stay here, maybe hinging a little bit, or maybe even taking it deeper for a forward fold and breathing. 3 breaths here. So as you hold your poses, whenever we have 3 or more breaths, it's a good time to just meditate or to reflect on whatever your intention is today. So today, Pastor Michael talked about grief. So maybe it's grief for you. Maybe it's one of the fruits of the spirits. Maybe it's something else. But take the opportunity. This is where the mind, the body, and the soul come together. Let us breathe. On the next breath, go on and roll the spine up, nice and tall. As you bring that right knee up, maybe cross the right foot over the left leg for our spinal rotation. Taking that left arm around that bent right knee, sitting tall and taking your right hand around to the back of your mat. Lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, and breathing deep. On the next breath, slowly come back around to the center As we go into half cow face, we're going to take this right heel towards the left hip slowly. Maybe just go a little. So ideally you stack the knees, but you only take it as far as it feels good for your body. It's a great stretch. Maybe you want more, you can go on and take that left heel back by the right hip so that your knees are stacked, sitting tall, and it's already a great stretch. So you should feel it in your right buttocks or piriformis, or maybe even IT band if you're having issues there. Maybe even you have sciatica, this is a great stretch. You can still go a little bit deeper by spider walking your fingers away from your body with soft elbows, letting your elbows fall towards the mat as your chest and your nose fall towards your top knee. And just breathe, just letting it go. And if you're feeling tightness in that right buttock, maybe you just let go of that tightness with each exhale. Just let it go. Use your breath to release any pain, any negativity, any tightness in your body. On the next breath, let's slowly come back up to tall spine, taking your hands behind your buttocks, and then straighten your legs, but keeping them crossed. So this time the right leg's crossed over the left. As we go into our cross-leg staff pose with the twist, taking the arms out long in front of your shoulders and crossing them. Flipping your hands and dropping them. Nodding your chin, looking at your belly, and sliding your hands towards your feet, but only as far as it feels good for your body. I like to grab the arches of my feet and then pull my elbows away from each other to go a little bit deeper. Once again, let us breathe 3 breaths here. On the next breath, let's roll the spine back up slowly as we transition onto our hands and knees for a kneeling cat and cow. So coming onto your hands and knees with your wrist under your shoulders, and your wrist, your knees, and your feet are all in a straight alignment. So it's important that your knees are not together, because then you might be a little lopsided and don't want that, do we? So go ahead and nod your chin, look at your belly, round your spine like an angry cat, adjust your feet so you can't see them because they're behind your knees, and separate your shoulders as wide as you can. And then as you move into kneeling cow, soften the wrists, the elbows, the shoulders. Let the belly fall towards the earth. As you lift your gaze, lift your heart, fill the lungs up with air, and inhale. Exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And flat back. Let's do some big hip circles, taking your hips out to the left, down over the left heel, over the right heel, all the way back to the center as big and slow as you can. Switch directions. Inhaling and exhaling with each big hip circle, and 2 more. Inhale and exhale. And last one. Inhale and exhale. Curl your toes under, stretch the soles of your feet by pressing the balls of your feet towards the back of your mat. And then we're just going to lift our knees about 2 inches off of the mat and just breathe. Now you can drop your knees if you need to, but we're going to try to hold it for a 5-breath count. On the next breath, going to drop the knees, uncurl the toes, drop into child's pose, extend it by dropping your buttocks to your heels, extending your hands away from your shoulders, dropping your elbows and your forehead to your mat, maybe to a pillow, maybe to a block, maybe you make a pillow with your hands or your fist. And breathe 3 breaths in child's pose. So from here, next we'll go into our vinyasas. We're going to go into downward dog. which may not be for you if you have high blood pressure, glaucoma, any kind of injuries that prevent you from moving in that pose or that posture, then you can just come to child's pose as your modification. But otherwise, come onto your hands, knees, curling your toes again. Once again, lifting the knees about 2 inches, hover those knees for a 5 count, and then we'll go into downward dog. So this is a bent knee plank, pulling your belly into your spine. And this is the safest plank if you're someone with any kind of back injury, herniated disc. And the reason is that your knees are under your hips, so it prevents your back from sagging. So this is also a modification for a plank, which we'll be doing through our vinyasas, if you have back issues. We're going to go and move into that downward dog. Lift your knees, lift your sits bones, let your gaze go to your knees. Push the sits bones up as high as you can as you press the earth away with the heels of your hands and the balls of your feet. And we can move into pedaling, dropping the left heel, bending the right knee. Drop the right heel, bend the left knee, and maybe a little faster, maybe not, with breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. Press both heels down. Then lift both heels up and drop your shoulders over your wrists so you're in a good plank. Or maybe you bring your knees down because it feels better. Or maybe it's more doable. It needs to be doable. Or maybe you're used to planks and you can just keep your hips up without sagging them. And then we're going to slowly lower our entire body down. Knees, tummy, chest, even your chin comes close to touching the floor. Uncurl the toes and we go into cobra. But be careful because cobra will compress the lower disc in your back. And you don't want to do that if you have any back issues. So maybe you just lift your chin and your chest a little bit, or maybe your body allows you to lift all the way up. Try to press your pelvis into the mat. So try not to lift it unless you're doing up dog. And breathe. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears. On the next breath, we drop back into extended child's pose. And maybe you stay there, or maybe you join me for downward dog. Once again, pedaling, left heel, right, left, right, both heels pressing down. Dropping into your plank. And then we can go back to cobra if that's what you like. Or maybe you progress with me into a chaturanga. So you lower yourself halfway down, holding your body up with your elbows and breathing. Maybe you can't hold it long like I can't, and you come back into your cobra. So you can make your practice a way that works for you. That's very important. So, on the next breath, we go back into child's pose extended, where maybe you stay or maybe you join me for downward dog. And we pedal again, left heel, right, left, right. Both heels press down, both heels come up. Drop into your plank. We're going to go into up dog, or maybe you go back into cobra. Uncurl your toes, float your hips down, but hover them over the mat, lifting your heart, lifting your gaze, and breathing deep. On the next breath, let's move back into our child's pose, where maybe you stay or join me in downward dog. Once again, pedaling, left heel, left, right. Both heels pressing down, both heels come up, going back into our plank. Maybe your knees are up, maybe they're down, and breathe. This time we're going to lower ourselves all the way down. Take your elbows under your rib cage. As we go into half bow, uncurl your toes. Take your left heel, flexing your left foot towards your buttock. And then maybe you can grab the outside of your ankle and your foot. And maybe you can even lift it up, your knee. Inhale and exhale. Go on and release as we transition to the other side. half bow on the right side. Lifting or bending your right knee and taking your right heel towards your buttock, grabbing the outside of your right ankle and lifting your knee or not. And then maybe a full bow, grabbing underneath the tops of your feet. Lift your knees, lift your heart, and breathe. Try to squeeze your knees towards each other here, and breathe 3 breaths. On the next breath, go on and release, and come back to your hands and knees. We are going to come up to standing next, so curl your toes under. If you are in child's pose and you can't do downward dog, use a table or something to help you come up to standing and then fold over. Otherwise, come into your downward dog and hop forward, letting your nose float towards your knees in a forward fold, letting the arms just hang down, keeping your eyes on your knees here to protect your neck, and breathe. So you can bend your knees here if you need to. We're going to go into half fold. You're just going to lift the heels of your hands, or you can even bring your hands on top of your ankles. Straighten your arms and gaze forward. Straighten your legs. Inhale and exhale back into forward fold. Palms are down. And then back into half fold. And full fold. And half fold. And full. And begin to slowly roll the spine up. 1 vertebra at a time. Nice and slow. We're going to come to the front of our mats. Step back with your left foot, not a little, but a lot. So the bigger you step back, the bigger your base. Turn your left foot out to the side. We're going right into our warriors. Lift your heart, roll your shoulders back, and float your arms out long. So this is warrior 2. Reverse warrior or peaceful warrior. Drop your back hand. Float your front hand up towards the ceiling a little, a lot, all the way towards the back, and breathe 3 breaths. And peaceful warrior. You can actually drop down a little bit lower if you want to go a little bit deeper. On the next breath, we're going to transition into side angle. So you're going to bring that right elbow over that right knee or thigh, floating your left hand up, gazing up or gazing down. Maybe extended side angle, extending the right hand down. And from here, we're going to windmill our top hand down as we turn our back foot forward into a deep runner's lunge. And then dropping that back knee, uncurling the back toes. And then floating the hands all the way up into a kneeling crescent lunge. Now you can stay here. Maybe you add a twist, dropping that left hand and rotating over to your right, gazing up to your right hand, and breathe. Go on and float that top hand down to the inside of your front ankle and drop down to your elbows or not, and breathe. On the next breath, go on and straighten your arms, straddle the front foot, curl your back toes under, lift your back knee. We're going to float our arms back all the way up into crescent lunge. You can use your knee to assist. Turn your back foot out to the side. You're in warrior 1. Go on and open your arms into warrior 2. Straighten out that right knee. Hand your upper body to the right into triangle pose. On the next breath, we come back up into warrior 2. Turn your right foot forward. Turn your left foot out to the side. Warrior 2 on the other side. Drop it down as deep as you can. Lift your heart and let your arms be long. And then peaceful warrior, dropping your back hand, floating your front hand up towards the ceiling and towards the back. And breathing 3 breaths here. On the next breath, come back into warrior 2, only to transition into side angle as you drop that elbow onto that bent knee, floating your back hand up. Maybe you're in side angle extended. And breathe. And then from here, we're going to float that top hand down. Turn your back foot to the side, so you're in a nice crescent lunge. dropping your back knee, uncurling your back toes, and then maybe floating your hands up into a kneeling crescent lunge. Maybe you stay here pressing your hips forward, or maybe you drop the right hand, rotating to your left, gazing up to your left hand, and breathe. And then go on and flip that top hand down to the inside of your front ankle, where maybe you stay, or maybe you can drop down to your elbows, or not. That one could be a hard one. And then go on and straddle your front foot as we come back up. Curl your back toes under. Lift your back knee. You can use your front knee or thigh to come up into crescent lunge. Reach. Turning your back foot out to the side, warrior one. And then back to warrior two. Turning that left foot forward. Standing straddle split as we hinge over into good morning pose. Only halfway, so your nose doesn't go lower than your hips. Maybe you stay here, maybe you join me for revolving triangle, dropping your left fingertips or hand under your heart, and floating your right hand and gaze up to the ceiling, and breathe. Coming back with long arms in your good morning pose, and then dropping your right fingers or hand under your heart as your left hand, and gaze go up to the ceiling and breathe. And then go on and just drop that top hand down so both hands are underneath your heart. Maybe it's easier to make your feet a little wider. Maybe you drop your elbows down, tuck your chin, look through your legs, and breathe. On the next breath, if your elbows are down, go on and straighten out your arms. Keep your eyes on your hands to protect your neck as you take your heels in, and your big toes in, and your heels, toes, heels. Now maybe you stay here or you join me for a deep squat, not for everyone, and breathe. If you're in that deep squat, try to press your heels down, lift your heart. Press the hands together over your heart. Close your eyes and just breathe. 2 more breaths here in deep squat, or maybe you're just in a forward fold. Now if you're in a deep squat, open your eyes. Let's come up safely by dropping your hands and swing your heels out so your feet are parallel. Tuck your chin and then slowly roll up, articulating the spine, 1 vertebra at a time. Reaching the hands up into upward salute, bringing the feet together and dropping the hands over heart center. Let us do our tree pose before we go down to our mat for our final stretches. So tree pose, I do it in a progression style. So you need to stay where you feel you can hold your pose. So maybe lifting just your heel up is all you need to do to hold your pose. Or maybe you can float your big toe up. Maybe you rest the sole of your left foot onto your right calf. Maybe you pick up your foot and put it on the inside of your thigh. Think about your standing leg foot, pressing all 4 corners into the mat and standing tall, finding something to focus on, breathing, maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth. And what is your intention? This is a good time to reflect on your intention. Sometimes I just begin to pray to Jesus when I reflect on intention for other people, for people that are mourning, for people that are going through grief. I lift them up to you, Lord. Inhale on the exhale, go on and release, shake it out. We have tree pose on the other side. I encourage you to have a different shaped tree. Maybe you're just a wide tree, lopsided, tall and skinny, few branches, fat bush. What kind of tree do you want to be today? Let us lift up our right heel, maybe your right big toe. Maybe you keep it really close. Maybe you float your foot up onto your standing leg. Remember to stay tall and remember to reflect on whatever your intention is as you breathe. Maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Inhale on the exhale, just go on and release. And roll the shoulders back a few times. Let's do some swan dives. Face the front of your mat, hands over your heart, and soft knees. Go on and reach your hands up, gaze up. And as you dive like a swan, your hips hinge to the back. Your hands come down in front of your knees, shins, or ankles. Flip your palms. And then it's as though you're taking a heavy load of something. So bend your knees even more. Take that load. Maybe it's a load of love. Maybe it's a load of patience, kindness, gentleness, goodness. Take your hands over your heart center. Let's do it again with breath. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Hands over heart center. And one more. This time we're going to stay with our fingertips in front of our toes. Step back onto your hands and knees as we transition onto our buttocks. You can either cross your ankles and roll back or just swish your feet around as we move into boat pose. So in boat pose, your knees are bent to start. Sit tall, and then roll past your tailbone. Be sure you don't have any pressure on the tailbone because then it will hurt for days. And then we can look at our belly, pull it into your spine. Drop your shoulders, lift your heart, lift your gaze. Maybe just lift one leg into boat pose, maybe both. Maybe drop your hands to help you balance. Maybe reach your hands up because you want more. It's your boat pose. Maybe even straighten your legs and breathe 3 breaths wherever you are. Keep lifting your heart. Keep your eyes lifted. Inhale, exhale, hinge forward and grow tall. Stretch those posture muscles. And then go on and roll back past your tailbone. So now we're just going to roll all the way back, picking up our feet so we can slowly roll our spine down. If you need a pillow for your back, you can roll up your mat, make a little pillow or grab a pillow. Go on and bear hug your knees, gently rock them side to side. And then just kind of wiggle your feet, make sure they're nice and relaxed, and begin to do some ankle circles, big and slow. And then we're going to circle our knees away from each other by pulling our knees up, away from each other, out to the sides, down and back together. So slower and bigger is better whenever you're doing circles with your legs. Releasing any tightness and releasing synovial fluid in that hip joint. But the legs need to be relaxed for that release to take place. Let's switch the direction of our circles. And one more big circle, this time ending up pulling our left knee to our left shoulder and right knee to our right shoulder as we move into happy baby. This is modified. If you want a full happy baby, lift your toes over your knees and grab hold of them. Maybe you can even go deeper and just straighten your legs out. Maybe you rock side to side. So I have a grandson that's 5 months old, and he has found his feet. And he can put his toes into his mouth. And you look at him and he is doing this pose. And I just love it. So every time I do it now, I think of him. So precious. And now we're going to bring our legs up the wall. So when you bring your legs up the wall, you're just bringing your toes up towards the ceiling. It's as though you were laying on the floor on your back and your legs were up against a wall. In fact, maybe if you're at home and it helps you, you can move up against a wall. Go on and let your hands come down, palms are down, so that your legs are weightless while your body is grounded. Close your eyes and just breathe. On the next breath, we're going to drop just the right foot down. The right knee is bent. The right sole of the foot comes down, and the left ankle falls on top of the right knee for a hamstring stretch. Pressing that left knee away. Maybe picking up your right foot and grabbing behind your right thigh or in front of your shin and pulling your knee toward your chest if you want more. And if you still want to go a little bit deeper, let your legs just fall a little bit over to your right. And breathe. Go on and breathe 2 more breaths there. Looks like we're running out of time. Come back to the center and go on and take your left foot down and bring your right ankle on top of your left knee, pressing that right knee away, maybe lifting up your left foot, taking your hands behind your left thigh to pull the knee towards the chest, or grabbing the shin and letting the legs fall about 3 or 4 inches, just a little bit to the left, and breathe. On the next breath, go on and release. Let the soles of the feet come down. Let the knees fall away from each other. Soles of the feet press into each other. Supine butterfly. Go on and press your lower back into the mat, your belly into your spine so your pelvis tilts up. Close your eyes as we move into Savasana, total relaxation. So you can stay here in supine butterfly, or maybe you straighten your legs, wherever you are most comfortable. And close your eyes and just be. Just be in the moment. Total relaxation. The more that you can relax, the more energy that will flow through your body. So just melt into your mat, relaxing your whole body, relaxing your feet and your legs, your back, your lower back, your middle back, your upper back, and your shoulders. Relaxing your arms, the insides of your elbows and your wrists, the insides of the palms of your hands and your fingers, your thumbs. Relax your hip bones and your pelvis. Relax your belly, your rib cage, your chest, your neck, your scalp. All the muscles in your face, just relax them. And breathe. As you relax all the muscles in your face, move into a purifying breath, inhaling as deep as you can in through the nose, so deep that your tummy rises high. Pause, and then exhale all that old air out of your body with a very long exhale. Let's do 2 more purifying breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale deep and long. And exhale. And return to normal breath. Wherever your legs are, go on and bend your knees with the soles of your feet on the mat. Let your hands slide off of your mat and let both knees fall towards the floor on the right. Inhale. On the exhale, go on and bring your knees to the center and let them fall towards the floor on the left. And then from here, roll over onto that side, maybe in a fetal position, only to make your way back up to seated, but take your time. I'm sorry we rushed through our Savasana. I'll try to allow more time for that. You have just a few minutes to stay where you are and to breathe. And as you come back into awareness with your mind, your body, and your soul, let's open our hearts and let our hearts be filled with love. So C.S. Lewis said that for him, grief was a lot like fear. And so what can overcome fear? What can make fear go away? Love. So let our hearts be filled with love. And breathe. And on the next breath, slowly make your way up to a seated position so that we can open up the end of our practice for prayer request. So I encourage you to write down in the comment section any prayers that you have, Or maybe you just yell them out in your room. Maybe you yell them out silently. Let us pray for each other in the Spirit, for me and the Holy Spirit. Let us pray. And I lift up all those that are grieving, and that their hearts would be filled with the love and the peace of Jesus Christ, that they would just feel the comfort of those around them, and that most of all, that they would be healed and go through the process of grief that brings healing into our mind, our body, and our soul. Let us open our eyes as we come to a close of our practice. Take your arms out long with your palms up. Inhale to float the hands up, and exhale, hands over heart center, and namaste. And let Pastor Michael close us with the Lord's Prayer.
Thank you so much, Karen. What an amazing practice, and we appreciate you and your time and offering us this gift. And thank you, everybody who joined us, whether you joined us live in the moment or whether you throughout the week. We know many of you join and do this whenever you can, and we're just grateful to sharing that with you. So I'm going to close this with the Lord's Prayer. It's kind of a family prayer, a universal prayer for all of humanity. Kind of covers all our needs, and I'll invite you, if you're comfortable with it, you can pray with me, or you can take this time to just send positive vibes or continue to meditate. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Amen. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you. Ferdy's here. Ferdy says goodbye, everyone. Have a good day. And again, thank you so much, Karen. See y'all next week. Same time, same place.